Today I am going to make a no-brainer, delicious pizza dough. Over here I got some flour, all-purpose flour, 2 cups. When it comes to pizza, so you know that the dough has to be with yeast. So we got very simple stuff, 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of water, pinch of salt, generous, and some drizzle of olive oil. Up until now, you might ask, now where's the yeast? The last ingredients, the yeast. Of course, when you have this kind of instant yeast at home, this is your measuring spoon, 1/3 of the spoon, and the dry yeast. But today, I am going to show you this baby here. This is the self-made yeast that I have activated a couple of hours ago, which I will show you bit by bit, and in the future, you will have even better yeast. Put it in. It's very slimy, it's with a lot of small bubbles. It tells you that it's alive and very active and happy. And I later show you how it works. Now you got the yeast, the last ingredients. All you have to do is mix it. So if I got 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of water, that's pretty much 50% of the wet ingredients you're getting in. With a drizzle of olive oil and the liquid yeast, this dough is, as you can see, non-kneadable. Thank God for this magical no-knead techniques from some great bakers. That's all you need here. So let's say you always add around 50% of the water only, because you always have to remember your activated fresh yeast is also part of the liquid. And that's it. There you go. You will cover this up in a warm temperature overnight, which means at least 10 to 12 hours. Check this out. This is the dough I just made. Now after 10, 12, 16 hours, that's how it looks like. Double the size. Isn't it beautiful? So to make my coming up activated yeast, what I'll do is I'll save a tiny little bit here. And I'm always using the same box because inside this box you have many times an aged yeast, which that is going to add the depth of flavors in the future. That's it. That's how you keep it. And all you have to do, every time I'll keep this in the fridge until the next time I'm gonna use it. You can keep this fresh for at least a month. When I'm gonna use it, I'll just add a couple of spoons of water, some flour, and some sugar. Add around 1 teaspoon of sugar. Let it be happy. So the yeast actually eat flour and some sugar in their diet. So what you do by activating it is feeding them the food that they like. With the right temperature, it will rise. Now it becomes really, really liquid, and with a lot of small bubbles, then you know they're happy and they're activated. Like earlier, I just put in. Now, you will ask me, how would I know how much flour to get in? It depends on how much water you put in. The goal is to make the dough until it's very, very creamy. Like you're eating very, very liquid oatmeal. So this is not yet. I'm gonna add a bit more flour. And this is my way of being very environmental, not buying the instant yeast all the time. And if you keep on using this kind of activated fresh yeast, what you're gonna find out is that your bread, your mantou, your pizza in the future, the flavor of the bread itself is going to have more, is gonna be more sophisticated this way, because when I'm making sweet bread, I'm gonna add sugar, I'm gonna add butter. When I'm making pizza, I'm gonna add some salt and olive oil. Last small spoon of flour, I think that would do the trick. After you mix it well, you want to cover it, make sure the air is not getting in too much that dries out the dough or the yeast. And you're gonna leave it for a couple of hours and let it rise, let it do its trick. That's it. I've got the dough that's properly risen. Now I'm gonna grease my pan. This is a pan I'm going to put into the oven eventually, and also the place that the dough will rest and rise for the second time. Some nice quality of olive oil. Grease the pan completely. Oh, you can smell this freshness from the olive oil. It's wonderful. And done. Let's deal with the dough. Forget not, the dough is very sticky. How are you going to work on it? The sticky dough is gonna sprinkle some on the working surface, some flour. And pushing everything on the top. Yo! The other side, also flour. It's just me, huh? I don't like the sticky dough to be all over my fingers, so this is the best time I'm using my spatula until it's less sticky. And this is okay. You wouldn't want the dough to get too hard, which means that you add up way too much flour, it gets hard again. This is the best texture that is not too sticky on your finger and still soft and elastic, which means that this dough is activated so well by the yeast. Now, as you can see, the core of the moist is getting out again. Then as soon as I feel a bit stickier, I'm gonna push the flour to the center and continue to work. Now, my husband just asked me a wonderful question that you might have the same. You just said it's a no-knead dough. How come you're kneading the dough right now? Well, it's personal preference. First of all, I wouldn't like the dough to be too wet. It's hard to work on. And secondly, with this texture, it is still very wet, but not sticking on my hand. So it's relatively still no knead. And it's gonna give the dough an even better flavor. I'm just gonna stretch it. This is the time that if you wanna make it into a focaccia or a pan pizza, it's all up to you. They are so similar and the ingredients are similar. I don't see why you don't do it. I just made another dough to demonstrate you how it should be prepared. And for example, it will be also very fun if you add some more sugar and turn it into a mantou dough. This is the fun of making yeast dough. So I stretch it and I leave it. Put the lid on and let it rest for at least 2 hours. And in the meantime, I'm gonna clean up the table. Okay, as I am making the dough previously, I was showing you how we should put it together. I realized that the moist is actually too much. As you can see, it's too liquid for how I like it. Usually, I like to control my dough in the water content around 50 to 60%. This is probably around 70 or 80 already. So what I'll do is very simple. I'll just add more flour, and I have decided that this pile of dough I'm gonna make it into mantou. So instead of leave it with just olive oil and salt, not only I'm going to add some more flour, and I'm gonna add a little bit of sugar. I'm in a good mood. Today I'm gonna use some black sugar, some dark sugar. Let's give it with 2 cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoon brown sugar, and just mix it. This is a no-knead dough. For a lot of people who doesn't have a mixer at home, it's wonderful. But then, of course, it's baked product, so you still have to have oven at home. This is the time that if I know this evening I'm gonna eat pizza, the night before I go to bed, I'm gonna prepare this dough and put the lid on, then that's it. The next day, before I am going to serve the pizza, 2 hours before that, the dough is still very wet, relatively, so the brown sugar that I put in after some stir is pretty much all dissolved. And if you keep trying this kind of fresh yeast method, I guarantee you your baked goods is only going to taste better and better each time. And it's environmental, it's fun, it's almost like a silent communication with you and your yeast. And I wish that with this pile, in the next episode, start working on the pizza sauce.